All right, so today we're going to look through another business listing on bizbuysell.com. I want to show you how I sift through listings, looking for good deals, trying to figure out if it's worth pursuing or not, looking for green flags, growth opportunities, and red flags. I know these business listings can be a little difficult to look at and gauge if it's a good business or not. And so that's what this video is going to be for. So let's just get into it. My name is Jordan Kelleher. I'm a business broker. I help people buy and sell businesses. So let me get my head out of here and let's take a look at this listing. We have a custom plastic injection molding company for sale. It's out of Stark County, Ohio. And let's start with this top section right here, all the numbers, and we'll break down what they mean. But I'm just going to read through them real quick. Asking price, $1.65 million to buy the business. The cash flow is $650,000. Gross revenue, the sales of the business, is $3.6 million. The EBITDA, the business's earnings, or the earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, before paying all of those things is what that means, is $580,000. They have furniture, fixture, and equipment, FF&E, $2.2 million. Excuse me. The inventory that they have is $213,000. They've got real estate that they're operating out of worth $2.5 million, and it was established in 1982. So obviously the asking price is pretty self-explanatory. This is what they want a buyer to pay in order to acquire the business. Cash flow. The way BizBuySell defines cash flow here, if you hover over the question mark, it's net profit plus anything the owner pays themselves, right? So their example down here is if the net profit before taxes was $100,000 and the owner was paid $70,000, then the cash flow of the business is $170,000. So if you look down here at this EBITDA number, which is again is the business's earnings before the business pays interest or loan payments, debt payments, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And so without having access to the financials, because I haven't filled any of this information out over here on this contact form, I haven't filled anything out. I would need to sign an NDA to get full access to all of their financials. But without having access to that, I'm going to guess that since this EBITDA is $580,000, I'm assuming the owner is paying themselves, what is that, $80,000 a year? Whatever the math is on that, 5, 6, 7, 8, 70, 76. So that's what I'm assuming that means. Obviously, we'd have to vet that. But this is a pretty good earnings amount for the business. So I like it so far. Now let's jump down to, that was cash flow. Let's jump down to gross revenue. I'm going to try and stay in order here. $3.6 million in sales. Pretty self-explanatory here. All annual business income, prior calendar year or the trailing 12 months before any cost of sales expenses have been deducted. So they're making about $3.6 million in sales, whether it was last year, 2023, or this is the trailing 12 months, meaning the last 12 months in business. So we don't know. We'd have to check on that. But that's pretty good in sales. Inventory, they've got $213,000 in inventory, probably plastic molding or I don't know what else. We have to find out, but I'm assuming that's what it is, merchandise. Obviously, we covered EBITDA, which is the business's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. This is a really popular metric for measuring what a business is making, right? After paying expenses, business expenses. So this number is going to be essentially your net income before you pay any interest or debt payments, taxes, depreciation, amortization. So it's a good way to compare business to business when you're looking to buy a business. Jumping over to real estate, so they operate out of a building that's worth $2.5 million. We'd want to get an appraisal on that if we plan to buy the real estate as well. The FF&E stands for furniture, fixture, and equipment. So whatever equipment is in the building in order to make the product, that's what they're saying the value of all that is. And then it was established in 1982. So a couple of things, right? What are we looking for? Well, first we want to make sure the numbers look good. We're doing this for an investment, right? We want to make sure it makes money. And my eyes immediately are going to go to the EBITDA and the asking price. And I just want to make sure we're priced fair. And the way you do that is you just want to see what they're valuing the business at, what multiple. So businesses are bought and sold for a multiple of what they earn. That earning metric is EBITDA or SDE, is typically the metric that they're going to use. So if they're bought and sold for a multiple of what they earn, okay, well, they're saying they're earning $580,000. What is the multiple? And you will simply take this asking price of $1,650,000 and you're going to divide it by the EBITDA, the 580, and you're going to get 2.8. So they're using a 2.8 multiple to value this business. I think it's a fair asking price. I think you'll find for the most part small businesses sell anywhere from a 2 to a 4 multiple. You can even do some Google searching yourself and just find out, what do plastic injection molding companies sell for? There should be some articles out there. There should be some reports out there for what the typical small business in this industry are selling for. I think a 2.8 is fair. Can maybe even try and push for a 3. But who knows? We don't really know anything about the business because we haven't signed an NDA to look at it. But right off the bat, 2.8 sounds good to me. They're asking a fair price. I like everything I see with these numbers up here. Real quick, the second thing I really like to see is 1982 is when it was established. Anything over 10 years in my eyes, I think is good in terms of how long of a business has been around. 5 years maybe minimum. I wouldn't advise looking at businesses maybe less than that, just because you want a larger sample size. You want them to have a proven track record of going through the ups and downs of the market and different economies. So a business that's been around since 1982 is a really good sign. 65% of businesses fail in the first 10 years. So if you want to kind of skip that failure rate or that failure phase, look for businesses that are 10 years or older. So the financial box has been checked. The established business has been checked. And I think the industry has been checked as well. I like this industry. It's just one of your, if you want to call it boring business where you need them, they need to be around. It's a good industry, right? I like that. So let's read the description here. The business was established more than 30 years ago. We know that. With 18 custom injection molding presses. That's good. A wide range of services from tool design and procurement. Tenured employees and management team offers an opportunity to own a business with a flexible schedule and ability to take time away. So I like that. That tells me they have a management team. When you start looking at businesses $1 million or more, they tend to have enough cash flow or enough earnings where they can start putting management in place, right? If you're looking at smaller businesses, it tends to be heavily owner operated, where the owner is maybe directly tied to generating a lot of the revenue for the business, or the relationships with the customers or clients are heavily tied to that owner. And then once the business starts getting more cash flow in, they can start allocating that money to different department heads or more management teams or a general manager, a plant manager, whatever it is, right? And a good business owner who's trying to structure their business for a sale at some point in their life will want to start removing themselves from revenue generating operations and the relationships with customers and clients, because that makes it very difficult to sell a business if the business revolves around that one owner or the two owners. Because if I buy the business and I take that one owner or the two owners out of the equation and everything revolved around them, well, that's a huge risk. And I'm probably going to lose a lot of revenue and a lot of customers and clients because they were all tied to them, right? So a good owner will start utilizing the extra cash flow that's coming in to put management in place, to put operators in place, and slowly start to remove themselves from operations or bringing in revenue of the business. So that's a really good sign right here. Management team offers an opportunity to own the business. The owner prefers to sell the real estate. The price is not included in the asking price. So they would also like to sell the real estate at $2.5 million plus the asking price of the business. That's up to you. I will say, if you are going to buy the real estate along with the business, you can still utilize an SBA loan, and you can stretch that term from a 10-year term to a 25-year term. So something to keep in mind there. Now let's go into more detail here. The inventory is included in the asking price. So they've got $213,000 in inventory, which is included in the 1.65. So we're not adding to the asking price. That's a good sign. Real estate is owned, not included in the asking price. So again, if you wanted to buy it, this is going to be an additional $2.5 million. Building square foot looks like a pretty large facility, 24 employees. I'm sure a lot of those are part-time. Furniture, fixture, and equipment included in the asking price. This is pretty neat because they've got over $2 million in furniture, fixture, and equipment. I'm assuming it's a lot of the machinery. 18 custom injection molding presses ranging from 95 to 880 ton class. I don't know what that is, those machines are, but I'm assuming that they make up probably close to that $2 million mark. But they're including that in the asking price. So they're giving you the equipment in that asking price, which is awesome. So, that's even another plus right there. The facilities all right here. Competition of the three business considered competition, only one is similar in terms of revenue, and none perform short run production, making this business unique in the market. That's good news. Financing: the business has been pre-approved by First National Bank. That's also a great news. That kind of tells me, again, without signing this NDA and really looking at the financials, that tells me that financials are clean, right? If a bank's looked at them and says, okay, this looks good, we just need a qualified buyer and we're good. But it'll debt service this business will debt service the bank payments, if that makes sense. And so usually what banks are looking for is, I've seen minimum of 1.15 to 1.25, and all that means is really they want to make sure that the business is making 15% to 25% more than what your debt payments are going to be, right? So they want to make sure that their investment in you to finance the deal is going to be safe, and so they want to make sure the business is making 15 to 25% more minimum than what your debt to the bank is going to be. So being pre-approved is a really good sign. Owners will provide comprehensive complimentary transition services and training at their current schedule up to 40 hours a week for 4 weeks. So that tells me right there that the owner is most likely working 40 hours a week, which is fine. But what I would want to know if I inquire on this business, my very first question is probably going to be, what does the owner do, or owners do? What do they do? What are their roles and responsibilities? Because if we're going back to, okay, what are we checking the boxes off, right? So we went over the numbers. We can check that box. The numbers look good. The industry, in my opinion, I think is a good industry. We can check that box. It's older than 10 years old. We can check that box. And another box that we want to check is the owner dependency box. And so we won't really know this unless we inquire on the business. And so if I was heavily looking for an acquisition in Ohio, just in general, I would probably inquire on this one. It looks good. Everything checks out. But I want to know what the owners do. How involved are they in operations? I can't imagine they're going out to the warehouse or whatever it is, making the product. But I still want to know what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. I still want to know how many hours they're putting into the business. Who are their customers? How do they get them? Are these old friends of theirs? So I would really put a lot of emphasis on what the owners do and what relationships they have with and around the business. So that would be another box for myself to check. And then ultimately, I'm looking for growth opportunities, right? And so I don't want to make any assumptions here, but if they were established in 1982, I'm sure they have a website, but I would want to make sure they have a website. Is there any marketing being done? How are you advertising yourself? How are you getting new clients? What is the customer concentration of the business? Are any of these people under contract, right? So the whole goal here is to get a good understanding of the financials, a good understanding of the operations of the business, and are there any growth opportunities? And that's where you, as the buyer, have to assess, what's your background? What industry are you good in? What are your skills? What's your experience in? And then once you start to look at this business, and maybe you have a call with the sellers and the broker, and you start getting a better understanding of this business, you're trying to start to gauge, what holes do they have that I could plug myself with my own skills, my own experience and expertise, right? And the reason why I mentioned websites is because I find that a lot of these businesses being ran by this baby boomer wave don't have the best websites. They don't have any social media. They don't do any marketing. And so for me, myself, I look at that and go, I could come in here and, start making some content or a website or some sort of marketing online to bring in some more sales, right? And that's just an area where I could just do that myself without extra cost. So that's what we're trying to do here. Is we're looking for any red flags. I don't see any red flags on this listing. But obviously have to inquire on it and make sure we can verify all these financials. The only thing that I would say was a little bit concerning, not concerning, but is I would want to get clarification around, is the owner working 40 hours a week? I got no problem working 40 hours a week. I just want to know where you're spending your time, because if you're doing things that I don't think I can fill your shoes in, I either have to cut into this cash flow to pay someone else to do it, or I need to find someone who can help me do that. So just something to keep in mind. So this is how I kind of look over business listings. I just try and check off a few boxes real quick. If all the boxes are checked, I will shoot over here to this contact form, fill in my information, and I'll just say something down here, please DA for more info. And then I'll fire it off, and I'll wait for Tiffany down here. I'll wait for Tiffany down here to give me a call or send me an email. Go from there, ask her a few questions, get my hands on the business packet, or the SIM packet is what they call it, the confidential information memorandum. Take a look through the packet, make sure the financials look good. Maybe they've got some more clarification around what the owner does. If I'm still interested from there, I'd schedule a call with the sellers and keep moving it forward. So I hope this helps on how to sift through some business listings. I like this one. This would be one that would be interesting to pursue. That is all I have for today. If you have any questions on this specific deal review or this listing, just let me know in the comments and I'll happily address them. Thank you.